I know we said we get started at 3:05. It's 3:04 and change. So I'll plunge in. Good afternoon, everybody. Jeff Williams, Director of City Planning and Development. Thank you for being a part of meeting 2 of the Empowerment Committee for the preparation of the KC Spirit Playbook. Through the course of our conversation today, we'll just make sure we reintroduce ourselves, a little background catch up. Maybe by the show of the raised hand tool, are there folks who this is their first meeting for this group? Okay, I see one raised hand. So welcome. As we get to the introductory pieces, last time we went around and everybody introduced themselves and kind of what their relationship is to part of the committee and plan. So we'll start with our newest members, but we'll get everybody caught up. So if this is meeting 1 for you, we'll take time to make sure that we talk about the previous meeting, get things in place. And then we really make sure we have some good time for conversation about things we talked about last time, vision statements and plan goals and values. With that, Kyle, should we go ahead and do our city side introductions?
Yeah, we have that coming in just a second, Jeff. I think we're going to pull up a slide or two that kind of shows people where some of the Microsoft Teams functions are.
Perfect.
And then we'll do it right after that. So if I can ask Morgan to share, if you're ready, Jeff, I'll go ahead and go.
I am ready. Thanks.
Well, we appreciate everybody for being here. As I look out my window, I see a rotating sign that says it's 74 or 73 degrees. So I know there's places people want to go, so we will make sure we are expeditious with your time. Morgan, if you could go to the next meeting. This is the second meeting of the Empowerment Committee. We have a few people that weren't here before, so we're going to run through the platform that we're using for this and just some general rules so we have a good meeting. If you're not talking, please put your teams on mute. You can turn your camera off if you want, or you can leave it on. But if you have a question as we go forward, there's a couple different ways to let us know. We have people that are kind of paying attention to either the chats, which if you use the raise your hand tool, it'll show you, or you can just physically raise your hand and somebody will catch it. Morgan, next slide, please. So for those of you that are like me, I think I've used 13 different platforms for virtual meetings. Teams is actually one of the better ones, but if you're not used to it, it can still be a little intimidating. These are just some of the functions that might be useful during this. The participation basically will show you who's talking, who's here. The show comments, you can feel free to type your questions in there. If you have a question, that is the raise hand tool. Down on the bottom, there's also, if you want to give somebody a thumbs up or good job. Unfortunately, there's not a bad job icon there. It's probably a good thing as well. And then there's also ways to turn your video on and off. If you have any issues with those as we go forward, just drop it in the chats, and one of the city staff will help you with that. Okay, Morgan, next slide. So we do all that just to kind of help everybody get used to it. As we've said before, I think the majority of us were here. Those of us that were not, and I am one of those people, we'll do a quick introduction. So I apologize for not making the first meeting. I was on vacation, had that scheduled before we scheduled this meeting. My name is Kyle Elliott. I manage the long-range planning division of the City Planning and Development Department. With that, I will hand it over to the next city staff person, and then we'll go to the strategy team or the team members that aren't here today. Go ahead, Morgan.
Hi, Morgan Pemberton, long-range planner in City Planning and Development. I primarily focus on cases for the 1st District, and I'm also spending a lot of my time working on the comprehensive plan update. Bo?
Hello, everyone. Bo Williams, long-range planning, working on the comp plan.
Also with us, we have Diane Binkley, I believe.
Hi, good afternoon. Diane Binkley, Deputy Director, City Planning and Development. Jeff?
And again, good afternoon. I'm Jeff Williams, Director of City Planning and Development. And thank everybody again for participating in today's meeting. Now I think it's where we turn it over to all the meeting participants to introduce themselves. And again, for somebody first meeting, we asked for you to introduce your name and organization affiliation if you like. and what perspectives do you bring to the committee? And you can see on screen, we've given you some points of consideration about how you'd respond to the question. So with that, I will open up the floor. And I think we'll start with somebody new.
If you'd like. Oh, I can go through the list.
Okay.
We'll start with Linda Brown.
Linda Brown. Linda Brown from Blue Hills area, the president of Blue Hills Neighborhood Association. So I consider myself a neighborhood leader. And we have a lot to do, at least I do, with development that's going on in our area.
Thank you, Linda. Laura McDonald.
Hi, everyone. Laura McDonald. I'm the executive director of More Squared. We do faith-based community organizing, and we work a lot in the area of workforce, education, basically anywhere where there's racial inequity. We will be working there.
Abby Kinney.
Abby Kinney, I'm an urban planner with Gould Evans. I'm also on the board for the Community Council of Columbus Park as a resident here, as well as the Kansas City Riverfront Heritage Trail. And then I also organize an advocacy group called Incremental Development Alliance that's focused on local small-scale developers in our city.
Thank you. Alexa Wilhoy.
Hi, I'm Alexa Wilhoy. I go to Oak Park High School, and I'm here to represent the student population.
Thank you. Bobby Baker. Lost her. That's okay, we can come back. Colby Crowell.
Hi, good afternoon. Colby Crowell here. I am the chair of the City Planning Commission. I appreciate everybody doing this. This will help the City Planning Commission make good decisions on development and land use throughout the city. So thank you for helping out here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jeanette Cowherd.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Cowherd. I'm the superintendent for the Park Hill School District.
Jerron Rabin.
Hi guys, Jerron Rabin here, President and CEO of Swope Health. Here as a business leader and representing community health.
Thank you. Let's see here. We've got Carrie P. I'm so sorry I don't have a last name on my screen.
Oh, Kerry Palmer, chairman of the Hickman Mills United Neighborhoods and neighborhood leader, regional leader.
Thank you. Nyla Mbiti.
Good afternoon, Nyla Mbiti with the Ivanhoe Neighborhood Council, where I'm responsible for housing and commercial development.
Thank you. Rashida Phillips.
Good afternoon. I'm Rashida Phillips. I'm the executive director here at the American Jazz Museum in the arts community, and also from the 18th and Vine Historic Jazz District.
Thank you. Stacy Jackson.
Good afternoon, Stacy Jackson. I'm a higher ed representative with Kansas City University of Medicine and Biosciences, and I do strategic planning and risk management here at the university. And I'm also a board member of the Healing House in the historic Northeast.
Thank you. Vicki Notice.
Hi, I'm Vicki Notice. I'm an architect and urban planner here in Kansas City with a consulting firm. We do a lot of comp plans for other cities. And I'm a former member of the City Plan Commission and a former director of the Department of Planning.
Thank you. Bobby Baker.
Morgan, I think she said her microphone wasn't working in the chat, so.
Uh-oh, that's okay. Hopefully we can get that working for you. I do also want to give a quick introduction. We have Taylor on the line with us as well. She's with Parson and Associates. They are working with us as our public engagement consultants, and they're helping us to make sure that we are reaching out to the community as much as possible over this year. She's also with us on this meeting. Taylor, do you want to say hi real quick?
Hi, everyone. I do also work in the 18th and Vine District and live in the Columbus Park neighborhood, so I'm excited to listen in to you all.
Thanks, Taylor. All right, I believe that that is everyone on my list, unless I missed somebody.
If we missed you, please let us know. We'll give you that opportunity. So we appreciate everybody letting us know who we are. We probably will not do this at future meetings. We just wanted to make sure we had, at least at the first two, everybody had an opportunity to know who they were talking with and what the groups are as we go forward. So Morgan, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, we'll quickly let you guys know what we plan on covering at this meeting, so that everyone knows what we're trying to accomplish. One of the things that we hope to do each time we talk with a large group or a group of people that are working on a process that has multiple phases is let them know how they can help us get the process done. And what we're going to do with that each time is kind of give you guys an objective of what we're trying to accomplish at this meeting and show you how that fits in to the overall process, and hopefully make you understand how we're listening to you and use that as we move forward. So for today, we're going to be providing you with a quick overview or an overview of how comprehensive plans can be used and are used. And then the next item we're going to do is we're going to talk with you again over a review of the revised draft and vision and goal statement. So with that, I will hand it over to Morgan, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks, Kyle. So at our last meeting, you're going to see a couple of these slides. Again, we're just going to go through them quickly. We want to make sure everyone's got a pretty good grasp on these kind of basics that we're going to need to understand as we move forward. We discussed what a comprehensive plan is, the intentional focus of staff and this committee on empowering the people of Kansas City in this process. We went over the general responsibilities of the committee and the time commitment. What has been done in the process so far by staff. We discussed how the Empowerment Committee is going to relate to our strategy teams, where a lot of the work is going to be done on putting together drafts of recommendations and strategies for the comprehensive plan that this Empowerment Committee will then review. We also went over more detail about the strategy teams, generally what topics they're going to be covering, and a general timeline that they will be meeting on. We also discussed, we had some discussions with the group about what a vision statement for the comprehensive plan needs to look like. We went over what our goal statements should look like, and if those goal statements that are in our current comprehensive plan focus are still applicable to today's Kansas City, and how they can be updated to drive us into the future for the next 20 years. And then we also took a look at a draft list of values that we really want this committee to utilize in all of their review of the recommendations and strategies that come out of our strategy teams. So just a quick overview. We've been working on the update to our comprehensive plan since about mid-2019 internally with staff. And then we launched our website in May of 2020. Comprehensive plan itself, it's a very wide-ranging plan as far as what policy areas it covers, but most importantly is that it sets the priorities and guides the land development decisions that will determine how Kansas City grows and develops over the next 20 years. And of course, land development decisions like this, they can have an impact on multiple policy areas that affect the city on a day-to-day basis. So it also is going to touch on areas that are linked to those land use decisions, like housing, transportation, and the general livability of the city. And just a note, our current comprehensive plan focus was adopted in 1997. They're typically updated on a 20-year cycle, so that brings us here today. And another note on the focus on empowering the individual. We really are trying to focus this effort on empowering citizens and the voice of our Kansas Cityans as much as possible versus the power, the systemic power coming from a top down. We've really tried to make this as grassroots as possible of an effort. So the Empowerment Committee, the main responsibilities that you all will be working with, it's going to be guiding the overall direction of the plan. So it's a pretty big responsibility. We need to make sure that our values that we find most important to our community, making it a strong community, we need to incorporate those into every aspect of the plan as we put it together. We also need to make sure that we maintain a citywide view, because we don't want to, pigeonhole in a certain area of the city. This is a plan that's going to serve all Kansas Cityans in all areas of the city. So we have to keep that wide view. Voice the issues, values, and priorities from your perspective. There is a reason that you were chosen for this committee. We value your distinct perspective that you have for your community and as a Kansas Citian. We really need you to feel free to lean into that, to let us know when you have a perspective that needs to be voiced in this process. And then helping us to identify potential partnerships, funding sources, and implementation pathways. That's going to come a little bit later as we get into the recommendations and strategies and putting together the meat of the plan itself. We do have to think about those next steps. Once the plan is adopted, how do we start implementing our strategies? How do we find the funding to get them implemented? Things like that. And then also just in the community, acting as a champion for the plan. The comprehensive plan is only going to be successful if we have as much societal input and support as possible from Kansas Cityans. So we really need you to champion this plan throughout the community. And as far as the time commitment, we don't expect to have you meet more than once a month between now and mid-2022. The most intensive part will be from May, June to December of this year. That's when you all will be meeting on a monthly basis to review what the strategy teams are putting together while they're meeting at the same time. So they'll be meeting on a monthly basis, you'll be meeting on a monthly basis, and it'll be a back and forth of the information, the recommendations, the strategies for everyone to work on. And then generally where we are in the comprehensive plan update schedule, we are on the phase where we're continuing our engagement online. We're still putting out social media posts and surveys and finding new ways to reach out to the community, both digital and non-digital ways. But we're also we have to get into that part where we're starting to have the very topic specific discussions where we're starting to figure out how we're going to solve some of these problems that we're facing. So we're doing both at the same time right now. And then starting in 2022, we'll be putting together drafts, we'll be actually writing the document, and you'll be very important in that process as well. And just a reminder, the comprehensive plan is not standing alone like Focus primarily did back in the 1997. It was a very comprehensive plan. It covered so many topic areas. And now we have all of these other plans already adopted by the city. So we are working with these departments that use these plans. We are making sure to coordinate with them so that everything is working together. And then, of course, we have our 18 area plans that us long-range planners work on a daily basis. These are much more specific to neighborhoods, to communities. Their recommendations are much more site-specific than a comprehensive plan would typically see. But these are another way that we can use to really let the public decide what they want their communities to look like, to feel like, and to grow like. And in case you didn't know, the graphic design that you see for the comprehensive plan, it is an update to the classic Norman Rockwell painting, Spirit of Kansas City. We wanted to update it for today's Kansas City. We wanted to add diversity. We wanted to add in all the icons that you see that represent Kansas City visually to so many people. And if you haven't had a chance, please make sure to go to the website and register. And we will also be posting to the Empowerment Committee's page on this website. You all have a private page that we've set up. We will likely have documents that we're going to post there, some surveys for you all to complete in between meetings. So just make sure you're registered, and we will definitely send out the link to that page for everyone to be able to get there. All right, and that is where I am finished up.
Thanks, Morgan, and hi everyone. This is Bo again. This graphic you see on the screen here just depicts kind of the relationship between you all, the Empowerment Committee there in the center, with what we're calling our strategy discussions, which are focused around those four larger topic areas: mobility, livability, visibility, and serviceability. And I'll talk about what each one of those means in a moment. But as these blue circles, the discussions that are occurring within those will have frequent feedback loop with the Empowerment Committee. So as those groups are working, developing ideas, they'll be bringing those ideas back to this committee for review and comment. So they'll be developing more specific strategies related to those topic areas, and there are subtopics related to all 4 of those. The Empowerment Committee will capture anything, though, that's not included in one of those 4 bubbles. So if something slips through the cracks and it's just not talked about in one of those 4 areas, we'll have that conversation here in the Empowerment Committee. Next slide. So again, I think you can go to the next slide. We covered all that already. Thanks, Morgan. So mobility is going to talk about all things transportation. How do we move around the city? What the focus plan called the multimodal transportation system, public transportation, general connectivity, walkability. How do we move goods and throughout the city? How do we serve our industrial areas and things like that? So regional access will be important as well. And then of course biking, parking, alternative transportation, complete streets, emerging technologies, I think will be included in that discussion as well, autonomous vehicles and whatnot. Next slide. Well, I want to mention quickly on mobility before we move on that we do have a consultant. We have a grant through Mid-America Regional Council through their PSP program to do the transportation element of the new comprehensive plan. And WSP has been hired through Mark's selection process to do that work for us, and that contract is being executed as we speak, I believe. So that process should begin soon, and it'll have a little bit more capacity to do some things because we've got that consultant assistance. But that process is going to be one of the first 2 that we kick off. Mobility, and the next slide will be visibility. So these are our first 2 topics. It'll start in May, and I'll talk through in a moment how those processes will go. But visibility is going to talk about our urban design of our city and the public spaces and how they interact with private development, and our parks and trails and open spaces, our culture, history and arts, our entertainment, and just placemaking in general, and historic preservation as well. So there's going to be a broad range of topics discussed there, and again, that will begin in May as well. Next slide. Livability is about neighborhood livability and about affordability, community health, the amenities that you want to have in a complete neighborhood. Reinvesting in some of our distressed neighborhoods as well will be part of that conversation. Next slide. And again, that will start in the 2nd phase along with serviceability, which is thinking about how we grow and how we provide infrastructure to grow in a sustainable manner. So that's kind of what serviceability is primarily about. Also thinking about resiliency and sustainability in general in the environment as well. Next slide. So again, our timeline is to have our first 2 topics, mobility and visibility, begin next month and continue for approximately 4 months. There'll be generally a 4-meeting cycle for each of these topics. So we'll have mobility and visibility starting off in phase 1, and